Okay, so today, class, my name is Juan Ramirez, and we're going to be talking about the power of a uniform, more specifically the SS. So, we all know the SS uniforms are from the Nazis, and so they are very iconic, and it's not hard to tell why, considering their fashionable aesthetic, which was a staple for the Third Reich propaganda. These uniforms of theirs are always associated with our memories of the Nazis. But first, we have to give some context. So before the SS even came to be, before even Germany was a thing, it had to be unified under Otto von Bismarck in 1871. And then this time, as you can see in the picture, with Bismarck, he has the pickle helm, or the pickle helmet, and this was worn a lot in the 19th and 20th centuries. The pickle helm or the pickle helmet pretty much was a standard until 1910, and even then on the bottom right, you can see an image where that's how the uniforms used to look like. They had blue and red colors. They're pretty colorful compared to what we got later on. The World War I uniforms. So in 1910, German uniforms had to change and they conformed to gray. This is for multiple reasons, but more importantly, it was for practicality. The gray uniforms could be mass produced and were very clean and simple. The Germans did not want the uniforms to have excess material. They did not want it to interfere, especially since trench warfare was the way the war was fought. And it wasn't until in 1916 the iconic Stahlhelm helmet was introduced, and this was used. This would serve the German military for a very long time. And now we have to talk about the rise of the Nazi Party. So in 1930s, the Nazi Party rose to power, and the way they did this was because they had 107 seats in Germany's parliament, and at the time there was only 577 seats. So I'm not much of a math guy, but that's at least like 1/5 of the seats. And Germany was facing an economic depression. For example, people were literally making dresses out of currency since it was basically worthless, and you could see kids playing with money. It was basically useless at that point. The government could not find a solution to this crisis, and this allowed Hitler and his Nazi party to rise. His priority was to make Germany strong by any means necessary, and this can be seen in all his speeches that he's given. At this time, they started to invest money in their uniforms, especially the SS uniform. On the bottom right picture, you can see how basically everyone has the same outfit. We started to see the rise of the Schutzwelle, or better known as the SS, and they're a paramilitary group that served under Hitler. At first, it was a small group of bodyguards that Hitler trusted. The SS had the black uniforms I always thought about when someone mentions the word Nazi. And the picture is Heinrich Himmler, who was the head of the SS, and once he stated, "I know there are many people who fall ill and they see this black uniform. We understand that and don't expect that we will be loved by many people." So they already knew at this point that they were going to be feared by hundreds or thousands of people, but they didn't care. They knew that this is what the message they're trying to get across. They wanted people to be scared of them, to know that if they saw an SS, that there was something wrong and that they were supposed to be afraid. And also the SS was divided into three parts. It was the general SS. Their job was to ensure all of the Nazi policies were enforced throughout Germany. Then there was the armed SS. They were the combat branch and were more like foot soldiers and would go clean up afterwards. And then the most iconic and most popular one is the Death Head units, who were the ones in charge of the concentration camp. They were the ones with the skulls on their top of the helmet. And 90 years later, and the Nazi uniforms are still considered an iconic look. As mentioned, the SS uniforms were designed to instill fear and intimidation in those who saw them. The uniform was a symbol of the Nazi regime, and everyone knows this black outfit. Everyone knows how iconic it is and how basically at the time everyone knew if Jew or not Jew, they knew if a Nazi was going through its place, their town, they knew something was wrong. They knew they had to be afraid of them. And even like 80 years later, we still remember this iconic look. To even enforce this even more, the German Nazis, they had a lot of propaganda. Because even like on the right picture, it shows the Waffen SS. And also, I forgot to mention the SS at the time means victory, victory. So the Germans, they had this principle that they were going to win, that they needed to win to make Germany strong. And then on the left picture, you can see basically all of Germany uniting together to make Germany strong. The Germans use a lot of propaganda to make sure that people wanted to like join their ranks and understand who was in charge. And then on the last slide, I just included things that the Nazi uniforms have basically influenced in popular culture and media. So on the bottom left, we have an anime film. It's called General the Wolf Brigade. One can see how that outfit is influenced by the Nazi uniforms. Not only that, but in that film, the Germans were able to occupy Japan, so it's like an alternate timeline. And in the middle, you can see a villain from the film Hellboy. So he has that skull on top of his head, so he's part of the Death Head unit. And I just remember when I was younger, when I had seen that film, he always came to mind. And on the top right, it's a video game called Wolfenstein: The New Order. And you could clearly tell how these are Nazis, and they're basically in a more futuristic timeline where the Germans were able to win World War II. And on the bottom right, it's from another video game called Killzone. It's the Hellgast. And so right here, this symbol heavily is influenced by the swastika and by the Nazi flag. And so I just want to say that the SS knew what they were doing. They knew how to make this uniform instill fear into other people. And but not even that, just that it was very iconic. Like everyone knows what it looks like. Like if you mention of a Nazi, at least for me, that's the very first thing I think of. I think of the iconic uniforms. And that's it.